Friends, a lot of people know that my wife Nikki cooks, and she's a very good cook. I like to cook as well, and I'm going to share with you my recipe that's a little bit different for Thai curry chicken. It's almost sort of semi-Thai, a little bit Indian, and also a little bit just Southern. So it's going to be a little different than what you might have seen before. Don't freak out. It's really good. Give this a shot. First of all, I'm going to use a pan similar to this. You can see this is a pretty big pan. Nikki picked this one out for me. I think it's a perfect pan. I'm gonna put some coconut oil. Now I'm getting not the kind that's all pasty looking. You can get this that's 100% pure liquid coconut oil, and it's just very light and thin. Going to give it some good flavor. I'm going to put probably, about 6 or 7 tablespoonfuls of that in here. I'm going to cook an onion that I have chopped up here, and I put some mushrooms in there with it. I'm going to cook those both together. A little bit of salt and pepper on top of those. I'm going to get those really well done. I've got some chicken here that I've already diced up. I think it was about 7 or 8 chicken tenders, and I got those little weird tendons out of it. I cut all that mess out of there. Took me a little while to chop that up, not too bad. Now over here, don't freak, I've got some red peppers and some apples, actually. A couple of chopped up apples. One of the things about this recipe is there's no sugar in it, and that's usually in Thai food, you go to the restaurant, you're going to get a lot of sugar, and I can't do that. I'm a diabetic and back to pre-diabetes now, so I like to try to keep that stuff out as much as I can out of my diet. I've also got some little matchstick carrots that are going to go in there at some point, so that's coming in a little bit. And I have microwaved a sweet potato. There it is. It's nice and soft. I'm going to use that sort of as a base for this. I'm going to use some of this tiki marsala spicy curry simmer sauce. I've got some minced garlic. I've got some Thai curry paste, red Thai curry paste. I've got some organic coriander. And I've got some ground ginger I'm going to put in there. So yeah, we're going to, and some spinach is going to go in this as well. Over here we have some basmati rice that is almost finished cooking. That's going to be what we're going to put this over the top of. That's going to be what we lay it on top of. And rounding out my ingredients are of course, some coconut milk. I couldn't forget that. And I'm going to use some crushed pineapple. The pineapple and the apples are what I'm going to use to kind of sweeten this. Okay, so my pan is getting hot right now, and I have put, like I say, probably about 8 tablespoons of the coconut oil in. That's half of an onion. I put a Vidalia onion in there, and it's probably about 1.5 cups of chopped mushrooms. I'm going to let that cook down really good. Okay, I should point out that I did slightly salt this, not too heavy on the salt, but I did put some salt in there. These are the 2 apples and the 1 red pepper. I'm covering them up. I'm actually going to microwave that for about 6 or 7 minutes, so that the apples get really tender, and we want it to cover up and stay in there so that moisture can be retained. Okay, so I'm still on high heat. Those onions are pretty well caramelized. I just don't want crunchy onions in this. I want the flavor, but not the crunchiness. Got about a little over 3.5 minutes left on the apples and the peppers, which are going to go in there. But first, we're going to put the chicken in there and let it start frying and let it get good and brown. Now, just so you know, at this point, it doesn't bother me one bit to put a pretty good heaping teaspoon of this garlic, this minced garlic in there to cook with this. You might save it later if you want to, if you don't mind, if the smell bothers you, but I'll put it in at this point right now. Now you see that the chicken is getting done. There's still little places that's pink in it. I'm not going to tell you a specific time to cook this. Each stove top is a little different. Just keep turning it, pushing it around and everything to make sure everything gets done. You don't want to see that kind of pinkish meat. Now I like to chop it real fine, so you can really see that it's done. So I try to get all that really done before I start adding additional ingredients. Now my chicken is getting pretty close to done here. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm trying to get it, make sure it's nice and done. I've turned down to about level 6 on my stove top. It might be 5 or 6. At this point, just kind of let it simmer there for a little bit. I'm going to take that sweet potato. I'm going to probably get rid. I might use some of the peel. I'm going to definitely knock off these little nubs and things. So I'm going to mash that all up in here. We're going to use that sort of as a pasty base for the curry. So that sweet potato was super soft. I did do 2 cycles on this Samsung microwave with the potato, and Nikki tells me to do that, and it does a really great job. It is super soft. It's almost a paste. And I didn't use the entire potato. I've got about this much left. I might eat that or save it for tomorrow for something else. That's probably all I'm going to need right there. It's probably about a cup and a half, almost 2 cups of sweet potato. And here's how the apples and peppers look after they've cooked down really good. I'm going to put this, probably about 2/3 of that in there, along with this and this. Then add our spices and stuff over and add some pineapple as well. That'll help sweeten it up and not have to put sugar in it. Okay, so the sweet potato, the peppers, and the apples are in there. And we're ready to add our coconut milk now. And that's going to help a whole lot here. I'm probably going to put about a 1/4 cup of this can of water in there as well. Okay, I'm back up to about 6, level 6. And I'm getting ready to add the pineapple in. I'm going to put probably about half that can of pineapple in this. It could do the whole can, but I think about half's what we're going to need to make this the right kind of sweetness. And now I'm getting ready to add a big teaspoon of this paste, of the Thai paste. Maybe a little bit more than that, about like that. About like 2, maybe a teaspoon and a half, heaping teaspoon of that. Man, this stuff is smelling great. I'm going to put some organic coriander in there. It doesn't have to be organic. Isn't all of it organic? I mean, I don't know. Sometimes you just, the hype, you know. I'm going to put about this much coriander in. You can be the judge of how much that was. Let's also hit it with some ground ginger. Not too much, about like that. All right. Mix all that stuff up. And then we're going to cover this and let it simmer for about, I'm going to say about 8 to 10 minutes. We got it simmering on low. I just want it all the flavors to have time to join up together. It's looking good. Man, it's smelling amazing. Fantastic, my friends. Now, there's one thing I'm going to leave out of this. I usually put some of my pepper powder in it, and I have sort of a special pepper powder, but Nikki, it kind of can close Nikki's throat up. And I'm not going to do that because I don't want to close Nikki's throat up. I'll put it in after the fact. You see, I did leave some of the peels in there, some of the sweet potato peels. That's some of the little brown things that you're seeing in there. The other thing, I don't mind if the carrots are just a little bit crunchy, so I'm going to put some carrots in this. Pretty good healthy portion of carrots. And then I'm also going to put some spinach. I'm going to chop up some spinach with scissors and cut that up and make sure that's in there and let it simmer along with it before I cover it. So I've put my spinach in there, got my carrots. I'm going to stir this up a little bit more. I'm on level 6. I'm going to back this off to about 4.5 instead of 6. I want that just to really cook down a little bit there. Get those carrots well integrated into it and the spinach as well. Could put a little more spinach in there, I guess, but I'm going to leave it. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Ordinarily, I'd be tempted to put more spinach in there, but I do have kidney stones from time to time, and spinach can be a cause of that, so I'm going to kind of minimize. I'm not going to go too crazy with spinach. If you like spinach, you don't have kidney stones, you can definitely go more. Let's cover this up and let it go for about, I'm going to say 7 to 8 minutes. Very well. I got it on about 4.5 as far as the temperature goes. So here's a little word about the pepper powder I was talking about. Every year, now I have a video out where you see how I make this stuff, but every year I gather peppers, hot peppers. I'm talking everything from jalapenos to cayennes to just every habaneros and even sweet peppers. You can go around sometimes to farmers markets and whatever, and they start to throw away the ones that are getting a little mushy. Doesn't matter if they're mushy. If you just take them home, cut them up, put them in a food dehydrator, they become very brittle, and then you can grind them up. I can use a Krupp's coffee grinder to make my pepper powder, and I put it in shakers like this, and I shake it on top of my food. And I would ordinarily like to cook that into this so that it just puts that extra flavor in there, a little extra spiciness. I'm also, before I finish it up, this sounds maybe crazy, but I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons of this in there just to sweeten it up as well. It is sugar-free. Well, I have to say it smells fantastic. It smells amazing. I'll take some to Nikki and see if she likes it. Looks really pretty too. really nice. Now that makes probably enough for, I'm going to guess, 6 people, 5 or 6 people maybe. And I've got all together, and I've bought all the ingredients for this, but I can use a lot of the ingredients for other batches. I think this can come out to equating around $7 or $8 a plate, something like that. You're going to pay $12, $14 in a restaurant for it, but you know, they put the effort into cooking it and everything. If you got the fortitude to make something like this, you should make it. And it looks like this in the bowl. I will say that Nikki thoroughly enjoyed it, said it was good. I thought I could have used maybe a bit more salt. I did salt it several different times in the process. So to salt it to your taste, for me, I'd put just a little bit more. She thought it was perfect. And so there we go. That's my little recipe. And my wife is pretty discerning. If it hadn't been good, she wouldn't have given it the thumbs up. She did. I'm not going to put her on the camera because she'd get mad at me if I did tonight. Peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel if you like.